Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside AWAI, our first of 2026. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Rebecca Matter, if you don't know me. And the reason I'm so excited for today is that we get to kick off the year with one of my favorite instructors of all time, Mr. Steve Slonwhite. How you doing, Steve?
How you doing, Rebecca?
Yay, I'm so happy to be here. So, for those of you who are joining us and are totally brand new to B2B or business to business, you are in very good hands with Steve, and you are going to be shocked at what this opportunity is really about. And for those of you who know what B2B is, where we're selling businesses are selling to other businesses instead of consumers, you are also going to be in for a surprise because you'll see just what this opportunity looks like this year. When Steve first brought it to my attention years ago, I really thought, oh, this seems super interesting. This B2B, or Steve and I joke, is B to boring. And he quickly showed me that is not the case. And it's actually one of the surest routes for writers to enter this space and make professional fees right out of the gate with a little bit of training. So, with that, Steve, I'm just going to hand it over to you. I'll be here. I might jump in from time to time, and I'll be advocating for our members if they have any questions along the way.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Rebecca. And please just jump in whenever you can. I know you have a lot of knowledge to share as well in the world of B2B. So welcome everybody. And I'm not going to get into too much about who I am, but I think there's a rough list. But probably the most important thing, the most relevant to you is that I've been doing this for a long time. I have over 25 years experience in writing for B2B companies. It's pretty much the only type of company I've written for. I've written for some B2C, obviously over 25 years, but I say 90+% of my clients are B2B companies. And I've been doing this steadily without any breaks for over 25 years. Is all I've been doing. I should get other hobbies, but this is it. You know. And what I want to share with you today is for those of you who are unaware of B2B, exactly what is it? What does it entail? What type of companies are in B2B? How B2B company, why B2B companies need so much content written? Like, why is that? And the best opportunities I see for B2B writers in 2026. We could talk a little bit about fees, a little bit about on getting B2B clients. So hopefully, my goal is by the end of this webinar, you'll have a very clear understanding of the landscape of B2B writing and B2B copywriting and where the sweet spots are that you might be able to get into and go, yeah, I can really thrive here because there's a lot of sweet spots within B2B that you can thrive in right now. So I know many of you already know what B2B, so let me just do a quick review. What is B2B? It stands for business to business, and it involves businesses that sell products and services to other businesses rather than to individuals like you and I. So you think, in manufacturing, strapping equipment, forklift trucks, racks, parts, wholesaling, packaging supplies, office supplies that people buy online. So products, businesses that sell products. And in fact, manufacturers and wholesalers tend to be really good B2B clients because they do produce a lot of content, a lot of marketing materials. But one area that a lot of people forget about is the services side. And there's a lot of B2B writers that don't write much for manufacturers and whatnot, but they write a lot for services. B2B companies that do B2B training. I've done a lot of work with sales training companies, recruitment companies, accounting firms, legal firms, consulting firms. There's a whole category of B2B services that involves consulting, executive coaching, things like that, offering services. Years ago, I had a client for a couple of years, a great client that was a office cleaning company, and I wrote ads and direct mail and things like that for this big office cleaning company. It's a services company. So you may not be comfortable writing about maybe complex products, but you could probably write about services, and that's a huge area in B2B. And of course, the one area that a lot of writers think of when they think B2B, and that is this whole software, tech, online apps. No doubt about it. If you're comfortable writing in those areas, a lot of opportunity for you there. That's been there's been a lot of opportunity there for the last 15 years, and it's still going strong. So products, B2B companies selling products and services to other businesses, and there are a lot of them. you're never going to run out of opportunities in B2B. You're never going to run out of potential clients in B2B. This is just a quick study that I did in, well, a study. I found a study I did in about a couple of years ago, still relevant today, I'm sure. There's about 1.3 million companies in the United States that would describe themselves primarily as business to business companies. Okay, doing more than $1 million a year, right? More than 10 employees. So these aren't just one person companies, 1.3 million real substantial companies with employees. And if you're looking at bigger companies, over 100 employees, there's over 218,000 of them in the United States. So, like I said, you'll never run out of opportunities. That's one of the things I liked about B2B more than I think anything else is that this comfort of knowing that this isn't a little niche where, I may not be able to make a name for myself and I may not get enough clients. This is huge. If something doesn't work out with one client, there's 17,999 other clients, potential clients I can knock on those doors. So there's a lot of companies in this niche, and they produce a lot of content, a lot of content. Here's an example here. This came up on my Instagram feed a few months ago, and it is a ad for Slack HQ. Now, Slack is a online collaboration app that a lot of companies use. So they're doing what's called a lead generation campaign. So I didn't show the whole ad here, but they're offering. You can see it here. Read our report. They're offering a free report. So you click on a link. You get taken to a landing page, you fill out your information, and they'll send you this valuable report, right? It's a classic lead generation campaign. So if you were on your Instagram, you saw this ad come up, you didn't do a lot of work at B2B yet, you weren't aware of it, you'd be forgiven for thinking that, okay, B2B, the ad, that's about all there is to it. They're just using that ad to advertise. But this ad is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the amount of content that was created for just this one offer. There's the Instagram ad, but there's many different versions of it. There's also LinkedIn ads and Facebook ad versions of it as well. There's also landing pages and follow-up emails and several videos. When I looked into this, they have a lot of these ads that had also videos with them. Someone has to write the script, conceive of the video, and follow-up emails when people, request the free report. They're going to, like a good sales organization, B2B companies are going to follow up with them. So there's a lot of these follow-up emails. And don't forget the free report that they're offering. Here is what they're offering here. You can see it here. It's a 24-page free report. You can see an idea of the amount of content per page right here. Someone has to write that. And I can pretty much guarantee you that they didn't write this internally. It's not the kind of project they want to write internally because it just kind of weighs them down. They would much rather get a freelance copywriter, a freelance writer to write this report for them, right? So there's a $5,000 job right there. Writing this report. It's 24 pages. It might even be more than 5,000. It's a big report. So you could be hired to write all these promotional materials that the B2B company needs, but also write the content they're using as a free offer to generate leads, to generate inquiries, right? So like I said, you see an ad for a B2B company, always think that's the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole bunch of other content being produced as a result of this, right? So they produce a lot of content, and B2B companies are spending more on marketing in 2026. This is a study I discovered that was published just 2 or 3 weeks ago. They did a survey of B2B marketing executives in the United States, and I think it was over 900 marketing executives of a representative range of many different companies. They asked them a lot of questions. One of the questions they say, are you going to increase your marketing budget this year? You're going to keep it the same? You're going to lower it? 69% said they expect to increase their marketing budgets this year. So they're spending more money on marketing in 2026. That's good for us copywriters. Yeah. Now think about that for a second. That means that of the B2B companies out there that might be great clients for you, 7 out of 10 are going to spend more money on marketing, right? That's reassuring. So it's a growing opportunity for that reason. But, and this is a big but. This is a huge but. But more than ever before, B2B marketing directors are under pressure to get results. Pressure to generate, to create campaigns, to create content that generates leads, that generates interest in the target audience, that generates sales, right? B2B marketers are under a tremendous amount of pressure. In fact, I think in the last 2 years, from what I'm seeing, B2B marketers and B2B marketing directors are under more pressure to get results than they've ever had before, right? Now, what does that mean to you? Well, that might be good news for you. Because if you could be a resource for a B2B marketing director at a company, if you could be that writer, that copywriter who can help them write an email campaign that generates a good response, that can help them write an Instagram ad and the special report and all the other materials that's going to help them get results. If you can be that results focused B2B writer that they can count on, okay, you're going to be very much in demand. You're going to be the kind of writer they want to work with and they don't want to let go of, right? Because they're under this kind of pressure. Here is another survey that was just released 2, 3 weeks ago. This is one that's done every year. It's called the B2B Content Marketing Trends. This one's for 2026. And they asked, I think this survey is over 2,000 B2B marketers, and they asked them, what are your biggest marketing challenges? What keeps you up at night? And look at number one, creating content that prompts a desired action. In other words, creating content that gets results, right? Results, leads, click-throughs, leads, conversions, sales. That's their number one. 4 out of 10 marketing directors, this is their number one problem. Who can help with that? You can help with that. Again, you can position yourself as a resource that can help them. You can say to them, I know how to write promotional emails, and I know all the best practices, and I can incorporate those best practices in emails that can maximize open rates, maximize click-through and conversion rates on landing pages. I know the best practices of writing that stuff inside and out. Well, if you're saying right now, I don't know the best practices of writing promotional emails for B2B companies, you can learn, find out, dig in, lean in, learn, and because you're going to be in demand if you can. If you can say that the best practices of putting together a free report, a white paper, an ebook that's really going to engage the target audience, that's really going to make a fantastic offer for a lead generation campaign. You know how to write it well, it's compelling, that helps them establish thought leadership. If you know how to do that, that's their number one problem. You're going to be in demand. You're going to have something that's really valuable to bring to the market here, right? And can even help with these other issues, resource constraints. Unfortunately, B2B marketing departments, they're not hiring right now. So B2B marketers are under pressure to produce a lot of results, but they don't have the internal resources to do that. They're under constraint. Well, you're flexible. You're a freelance copywriter, a freelance B2B writer. You're flexible. You can come in, do a project, step out again, step back in again. You're that resource that can really help them out. Okay. So, why do B2B companies need so much content written? All right. Where's the why here? And you get a sense when I talk to you about lead generation, but let me just break it down a little bit. Here is a company. This is one of the biggest sales training companies in the United States, Richardson Sales Performance. And they go in and they do sales training for companies. They train their sales teams, and they charge anywhere from like $25,000 to like $100,000, probably more. Okay. Now, if you are a manager at a company and you wanted some training for your sales team, and you're looking around what are you going to do? Are you going to go to are you going to end up on somebody's web page, read about their sales training program and go, click, buy now, $47,000, they're done. That's not the way B2B marketing buying decisions are made. It's most B2B buying decisions are a considered buying decision. Buyers want to take their time. They want to get all the information they need to make an informed decision before they decide to eventually spend, in this case, maybe $47,000 on a sales training program. So the buyer's journey from the moment that a B2B buyer thinking about maybe they have a need, all the way to buying could be anywhere from weeks to months, right? And during that buyer's journey, the B2B companies need a lot of different types of content along that buyer's journey. In fact, content fuels the buyer's journey. It pushes the buyer along the buyer's journey to the eventual sale. At the beginning, like ads and emails and landing pages and blog articles, to newsletters, sell sheets, that's a type of brochure, ebooks, trade show materials, case studies, customer success stories, sales decks, videos huge right now in B2B, white papers, and on and on. This is not a complete list you see on the screen there. So there's a lot of content that needs to be written during the sales process. And that's why B2B companies produce a lot of content. They need a lot of content in order to fuel that buyer's journey, right? And obviously, the better the content is, the better the fuel is, the more prospects will move along that buyer's journey and turn into a sale. You ask any B2B marketing director, if you say, hey, listen, will better content help you generate more leads and convert more of those leads into sales? 100%. I'm going to say, yes, of course, 100%, right? It's a no-brainer to them, particularly in B2B.
I have
All
one
right.
quick question, and I see a lot of
Yeah.
your questions. If I'm not answering it right now, it's because I'm queuing it for the end. But Krista has one. While we're talking about content, she was saying, measuring content effectiveness. What examples do we have to provide this information? How can we prove that content does help? Do they just automatically know this? Is it built into their metrics? How do we measure content effectiveness?
Well, sometimes you don't really know for sure until the client tells you, like, particularly with email marketing. Email marketing, you get the metrics pretty fast. Within an
Right.
hour, you kind of know, right? So the client will come back to you and go, oh, that email, those promotional emails you wrote for us, that email nurturing sequence you wrote for us. Wow, that really got great results. Or they might say, you know what? It was a little flat, not what we expected. And you learn from that. That's just a reality, but you get feedback from your clients and you get to know. Can you tell a client in advance, oh, the case study I write for you is going to be a blast. Everybody's going to want to read it. It's going to be the hit of your content marketing calendar for the year. No, you can't promise in advance. You don't know, right? But what you can control is you learn the best practices of writing these materials that maximize results, right? You learn those best practices. You learn how to apply those best practices. You learn how to write with a high degree of quality, and that's what you can promise clients. So let's do a quick summary. I got some more information to share with you, but maybe we can stop for a couple more questions if you want at this point. So, growing marketing budgets. You can be reassured in B2B that most B2B companies are spending more money. They produce a lot of content because of a longer buyer's journey. And B2B marketers are under pressure to get results. So if you can help them with that, if your content can be a part of the solution here, then you're going to be in demand, right? And the better the content, the better the results. And B2B companies know this. They know that if your email copywriting is better than what they're using right now, then they're going to get better results. Ad copy, content stuff, newsletters, white papers, ebooks, brochures. They know that if the content is better, that's going to help them get better results. So they know that.
Let's ask a
Okay, anybody have
couple
any
of,
questions?
yeah, let's ask a couple because I'm going to
Yeah.
save the ones for getting clients until the very end. But Ron was saying, in classical B2C direct response, sales letters are a complete sales argument. They offer everything from the beginning to the offer in one prospect contact, whereas B2B is this multiple hits. So is some form of a sales letter used in B2B, or are sales letters used in B2B marketing at all ever?
I use sometimes direct mail is still a thing in B2B. It's kind of coming back a little bit. It's not a big deal. I mean, direct mail is not what it was 20 years ago, but there's the traditional sales letter there. Also, some types of marketing materials like the product page or on a B2B website where it describes the product in detail is a more fuller presentation of that product. And that can look a little bit like a sales letter because you're building a sales argument. But the traditional long form sales letter that does the job right out of the gate, and sells it without anything
And
else,
that.
not in B2B.
And is that because typically there is a salesperson in the loop and the buying decision is so much bigger then? You're not looking for a $47 product here. You're looking to
No,
buy
no, you're
much
not selling a
larger.
magazine subscription here, or no, it's usually a considered buying decision. It's not just on price. I mean, like expensive products obviously take more thought before you decide to buy, but it's also if you are a warehouse operations director at a company and you're tasked with buying, a new forklift truck. Well, you don't want to make the wrong decision, regardless of price. You don't want to make the wrong decision, have a truck that the drivers don't like, that doesn't do the job, that breaks down all the time, and you made that decision. No. So you want to be very careful. So you want a lot of information. You want the case studies. You want the report. You want the emails. You want to talk to the sales rep. You want to go to the trade show and you want to see it in the demonstration. You want to see a video demonstration of it. You want to get the handouts for it. You want to see the sell sheets for it, how it applies to your industry. I mean, I'm rhyming off a lot of content, a lot of typical content there that needs to be written.
It just kind of shows you the how important this role is. I have a good friend who is a buyer for a large company. And like again, just that we as consumers understand that that's his job. He is going to succeed or fail based on a decision that he makes for the company, which just kind of it just shows you the amount of pressure. Imagine if like when we make buying decisions, they're for ourselves, they may affect us, they might affect our family, but this is affecting a whole company and it really could have a lot of downstream impact. And again, that's what they're being evaluated on, whether they succeed or fail in their job. So you can kind of understand and have a little empathy for the buyers and why they would need to make sure that they're making the right buying decision and need all of this content to bolster that decision and say, yes, you're going in the right direction.
You're absolutely right. In fact, a lot of B2B writing and copywriting is not necessarily like the high promotional sales stuff, but really educational stuff. A lot of B2B copywriting is educating the potential customer on how the product works, what it can do for you, the
Yeah.
benefits, how can it apply to you, what kind of results you would get. A lot of it is educational and focus.
That's interesting. I've never heard it. I mean, I know that, but I have a lot of teachers who always reach out to me. They're coming from educational backgrounds, and I think I just found a new place to put them. If you're really good at explaining things and teaching, this might be an opportunity. Now, again, I have some questions about getting clients. We'll hold them, but one last question at this point of the conversation. Daryl wants to know, is there a niche within B2B related to fundraising or nonprofits? Is there any space, I guess, companies selling to nonprofits or potentially cause marketing and nonprofit within this B2B world?
Companies selling to nonprofits,
Okay.
right? For every B2C, there's a B2B selling to it. So if you wanted to, if you thought I have a background working at a dental clinic for 20 years, can I do that? Well, you know, you might be able to do something for dental clinics, but what about companies that sell to dental clinics, sell the equipment, sell the programs, sell the software, sell the apps? That's where the real opportunity, that's where the real money is, and that's all B2B.
I love this. And then L. Pittman, last question, says, really, really dumb basic question, but it is not a dumb basic question. Everybody, if you have a question, somebody else has it too. So definitely bring it forward. Why wouldn't a company's advertising department be doing this for them? Or does B2B compete with or work with the ad department? So can you just explain the structure of a company and how freelancers step
Sure,
are in
sure.
this process? Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine I'm a marketing director of a B2B company, and I need a couple of promotional emails written, right? Um, I'm going to call my advertising agency and say, write me two promotional emails. They're going to charge me $20,000 and they're going to probably farm it out to a freelancer anyway. They don't go to advertising agencies for this day-to-day content stuff. They may go and advertise an agency for the big national ads or to design their trade show exhibit or for branding and things like that. But for the day-to-day, week-to-week marketing with all this content that B2B companies are constantly producing to sell their products and services, um, it's too expensive to go to an ad agency. They want to work, either do it internally or work with a professional like you and I.
Very good. Okay, back to the presentation.
All right, back to the presentation. And we'll stop again for questions. I'm happy to stay
Yeah.
on as long as necessary for questions.
Yeah.
No problem. So where do I see the best opportunities for the B2B? Like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. And every year I ask myself this question. I think, where are the best opportunities I can jump in and exploit? So this is my rundown of the best opportunities for B2B writers. The number one, it's always been there, is lead generation, generating leads, sales leads that the company can follow up on, that the company can give to their sales team so they can follow up on it. They want leads, sales leads. And I showed you that Slack ad for Instagram a few slides earlier. They're trying to generate leads. That's what that ad campaign was all about, generate leads so they can follow up on those leads and hopefully turn a good percentage of those leads into sales, right? In fact, I remember many years ago, I'll never forget the conversation. It was at a B2B intensive event that I did with Rebecca like maybe 10 years ago. I was talking to a B2B marketing executive was part of that, Robin Rees. And she said, and I asked her, I said, what do B2B marketing directors, what's always top of mind for them? What keeps them up at night? What are they thinking about? And she went, oh, they're thinking about three things: leads, leads, leads. They're thinking about leads. They want to generate leads. So leads are a big deal. B2B companies are always looking for help generating more leads because they know if they generate more sales leads, then they're going to get more sales, right? And B2B copywriters like you and I can really help with that. If you know how to write an ad, an email sequence, a free offer to use as an offer to help generate leads, I mean, they're going to want to talk to you. All right. So here's an example of a ad. This is a promoted post, LinkedIn, I think. And you can see here, this is a typical lead generation ad because they're offering a free type of content, right? And that's very common for B2B companies. They'll create some kind of content, a ebook, a free guide, a free report, a white paper, maybe a webinar to invite people to. They'll offer some kind of free content to entice someone to sign up, and then they follow up on them. That's a classic lead generation technique that's often used in B2B companies. So here's an example of one of these. And by now, this ad is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a ton of content pieces created to support this, including the free guide. Might get a gig writing the free guide, right? So in lead generation, you can write a lot of these different types of content: emails galore, social media posts, ads, blog posts, landing page copy, scripts, follow-up scripts, follow-up emails. All right. And also whatever they're offering. I've been hired to write free reports, the white papers, the free guides to, I think now, hundreds of lead generation campaigns in my career. And I've even been hired to write these scripts for webinars, because sometimes instead of a downloadable piece of content, they'll offer a webinar as a way to generate leads, right? So you can be hired to write this stuff as well. In fact, companies almost always outsource this to someone to write. All right. Second opportunity that's really big, and it may not come as such much of a surprise to you. It is a little bit to me, actually, is that social media. B2B companies are investing more in social media than they ever have before. And you can see this survey from last year, still relevant this year, I'm sure. They asked B2B marketers, where are you spending your money? In media. You spend it on trade shows, you spend it on search engine marketing. This is social media advertising and promoted posts, right? And also organic posts as well. This here is a promoted post, right? They pay for this. This is an ad. Looks like a social media post, but it's a de facto ad. So if you know how to write a LinkedIn promoted post, an Instagram ad, a Facebook sponsored post, if you know how to write those things, then you're going to be valuable. Here's one for Staples, the office supply store, right? It's a typical organic post, right? That's promoting, they're trying to promote the idea of don't buy imitation printer cartridges, right? And they're created a carousel. All right. So you've seen these before. You click on this and it flips like a slideshow to these different slides. You could be hired to write and conceive something like this, you know, or a typical LinkedIn promoted post or sponsored post. Here's one here, okay, where they're offering a free registration to generate leads. They have a little bit of copy here, but when you click to see more, you're going to get more copy here. This ad looks deceptively simple, but there is a art and science to how to put these kind of ads together to make them work well. And if you know that art and science and know how to conceive and write these things, then you could be very much that valuable resource for B2B marketing directors, right? So social media, video. Video is huge. When they ask B2B marketing directors, what kind of content are they going to be investing more money in? It was video. That surprised me actually. Video. You see video everywhere in B2B now. I think partially it's because a lot of B2B marketers B2B buyers are getting younger. They grew up with video, grew up with YouTube. So B2B companies are capitalizing on this and creating more content in video content. So you'll see B2B companies with YouTube channels, B2B companies with their Facebook company page loaded with videos, sharing videos on social media, using videos as a technique to explain the project, like a kind of a video brochure called explainer videos. So you could be asked to write all scripts for all kinds of different types of videos, social media videos, explainer videos, promotional videos. And I can tell you, they're a heck of a lot of fun. Because if you're at a house party and someone says, "Hey, what do you do?" "I'm a copywriter. I wrote a brochure for a client last week." They're going to go, "Oh, that's fun." But if you say, "I wrote a video," and hey, you can go, I can show you the video right now. It's on YouTube. I wrote that video and there's actors in it and they're speaking my lines. They're going to go, "Great. You're like a Hollywood scriptwriter. Let's see it." And you look, I've actually had that reaction. It's a lot of fun to write. And B2B companies are pouring more money into video. So if you know how to write a video script, right? That can explain a product well, promote a product well, or just engage their target audience in other ways, maybe a social media video, you can do really well, right? You have something of value that you can offer. Here's another one, sales enablement content. There's this thing called sales enablement copywriting or sales enablement content writing. And what that involves is writing content pieces that a B2B sales team uses. All right. This is a bit of a specialty in B2B, but I can tell you right now, if you know how to write sales enablement stuff, you got something of valuable to offer B2B companies. Now, a lot of content tools that a sales team, a B2B salesperson would use are types of projects that you may already be familiar with, sell sheet brochures, and customer success stories and articles and white papers and whatnot. But there's a lot of other types of projects that may seem a little unfamiliar to you right now. Like, what is a talk track? What is a discovery call script? What's a sales deck? What are cold prospecting email templates and that kind of thing. But B2B sales teams need these types of assets, these types of content to help them sell more. In fact, what I've seen over the last 3 or 4 years is B2B marketing directors under increasing pressure to write content that the sales team can use. So, and a lot of B2B marketing directors, frankly, don't have that comfort level with sales. I mean, they're marketers and they're like, I don't really get sales, you know? So if you can be that person that can help them write all the different types of email templates and scripts and other content that a sales team needs to do their job better, again, that's something you can be, that can put you in demand, right? Like here's an example of a couple of these content pieces. This is a template for a cold outreach email that a salesperson might use. And writing email templates for prospecting is one of the most popular projects I work on for B2B companies. So writing these short emails, you could be writing 50 of them, 50 different versions of them that a sales team can use or adapt or, use as a template and build on, helps them do their job faster and better. That can be very valuable to B2B companies. Here's an example of a what's called a battle card or sometimes a selling guide. I won't get into the details of exactly what this is, but if you know how to write one, you're going to be very valuable as a B2B copywriter. You can see here, you can get some hints of what it includes. Elevator pitch, blurbs on features and benefits, advantages over our competition. A B2B salesperson will use this as a guide when they're communicating with clients, when they're writing emails to clients. They use this as kind of a templates and scripts that they can use. And B2B copywriters and writers write this for them, right? Very high paying projects. Customer success stories. They've always been popular. Here's one that I think was written by Pam Foster. And it's about a customer success story is simply you interview your client's customer. You get their story. What problem did you have? How did you find out about my client's product? What prompted you to make the decision to buy my client's product? How's the product working for you now? What kind of results are you getting from the client? And then you take that interview and you turn it into a story, a case study, a customer success story. B2B companies love these. You ask any B2B marketing director, would you like more case studies written? Yeah, yes, yeah. They want more. They always want more of these. They're there's a bit of involvement to write. AI can't do this well. You have to interview the customer. You have to kind of come up with the story that involves a lot of intuition on your part. You got to write the story in a captivating way. But they're high value projects for companies. And most B2B writers, including me, love writing these because you're writing stories, right? You love writing these. Speaking of AI, there's also, you can help companies use AI. B2B companies are using AI. Sometimes they'll use AI to write emails. Sometimes they won't hire you and they'll use AI instead. That happens, right? But you can help them, and they're looking for help. Like I think the latest information I got was again a study just came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. B2B content marketing trends. 72% of B2B marketing partners are using AI regularly. Not necessarily for content. They use it for automation and a lot of other different things. But when it comes to content, you can really help them. You can be that resource for them that can take content that's created by AI and turn it into something that's differentiating, that is more persuasive, that's more human, that makes the better human connection with their target audience. Because the complaint I'm getting right now, particularly in the past 6 months from a lot of B2B marketing directors is, AI's, it's cool. AI is cool, but we don't want our content to sound the same as everybody else's, and it's starting to sound the same, no matter how we customize it. We'd be great if we had someone that can really help us, with editing. Take the AI generated stuff and edit it and make it better and humanize it, make it even better. And that's becoming a thing, right? That's becoming a valuable service you can offer. There's also this kind of voice of the brand. You can position yourself as kind of their managing editor to make sure that any AI generated content that the company may be using has their voice, their style, their brand. It has all the best practices of persuasive copywriting incorporated in them. You could be that person that goes in and rewrites things if necessary, or changes things to make sure that it's as effective as it possibly can be. And that's becoming a thing now too. That being said, you know, you don't have to do any of this stuff. There's lots of opportunities with B2B, with the types of projects that AI just can't handle, right? One area that is really I think is a wide open door opportunity for B2B writers right now, and that is technical copywriting. Now, if you're not a technical person, I know what you're thinking. Steve, I can't wait for number 8 because I'm not interested in number 7. We're not talking about technical writing. We're not talking about writing manuals and user guides, right? We're talking about copywriting. We're talking about writing persuasive stuff, writing about how a product, what the product's benefits are, how the product works, and how it benefits you, and the results you can get. That's the story you're telling as a B2B copywriter. But AI can actually help you break in to some high-paying, high-demand technical copywriting niche markets within B2B that used to be closed to writers. For example, let's say a client, a potential client called you and say, we're a manufacturer of industrial pumps and instrumentation, fluid instrumentation. Can you help us? We need some sell sheets and brochures. You might be thinking, fluid instrumentation? I don't know anything about that. So the door's kind of closed to you. That's the way it's been for a lot of copywriters, unless you had a lot of technical knowledge. So the people who had that knowledge made top fees writing for these companies. They still do, still top fees, but you can break in using AI, right? And I think that's a huge opportunity that's been going again, largely untapped right now. You can make inways into these industries where you may not have had the comfort level as far as product knowledge is concerned, but you can get that very quickly. Let me give you an example here. Okay. Let's say you wanted to break into a technical industry. Let's say it is data visualization dashboards. Okay. But you don't know anything about data visualization dashboards, even though that's a wonderful niche and you can make a lot of money writing brochures and emails and ads for that niche. Well, with AI, you can get up to speed within an hour. What you can do is you can prompt AI to teach you all about it. Here's a prompt I did as an experiment. I said, I put this in ChatGPT. You're an experienced copywriter specializing in industrial and technical product marketing. Imagine you're teaching a new copywriter with little or no knowledge of business intelligence dashboards. Generate a script that explains the basics. Where possible, use examples and analogies to make the concepts easier to understand. The goal is for the new copywriter to understand the basics so they can write marketing copy for this type of product accurately and persuasively. Okay, so basically what I'm prompting AI to do is teach me this particular niche market. And ChatGPT did this. It created this, the results is much longer than this one slide. It goes on and on. But it created a list of slides that taught me all about data visualization software, right? So when I'm talking to a client in that industry, I can speak with a level of knowledge that will give them confidence in hiring me. Remember, you do not have to be a technologist. You're not a technical writer. You're not writing user guides. You're simply telling the story of the product, its features, its benefits, how it benefits the client. But you do need some comfort level. This gives it to you. So AI can open doors to markets, high-paying markets that's been closed for a long time unless you had that technical knowledge. So I think that's a real opportunity. The final opportunity I want to share with you is long form content. This is another area that AI just doesn't do a good job on in B2B because you're often writing about something new that AI doesn't know yet. And AI has proven not to be that great over writing these longer pieces. So they always farm this kind of work out to people like you and me, right? Ebooks, special reports, white papers, even book books. Like I've noticed a trend now where companies are looking for B2B copywriters, ghostwriters to write full-length books. And that's becoming something that's emerged in the past couple of years. Like here's an example of a ebook that I wrote for a company. It's targeting real estate professionals. I think this was about 12 or 13 pages long, maybe 14 pages long. And they used it to generate leads and used it in many different ways. So this is a typical kind of long form project. But I also have written full length books. These are two books I wrote for another company just a couple of years ago because they said, hey, a lot of our competitors have a white paper and they have an ebook. Let's step it up so we can really differentiate. Let's have a book, right? And a lot of companies are thinking the same way. How do we break through with content that's really going to capture people's imagination? Well, let's have a real book, not just a short book, a real book. So that's becoming a thing, a growing thing in B2B. Not hugely growing, but I see it emerging. So another fun type of project, and you're into fees, 20, 30, $40,000 for something like that. It's a great project you can stretch over the next 6 months, right? So long form content in B2B, they produce a lot of it. They need writers like you and I to help them with that, and they're great paying projects. So there are lots of other opportunities in B2B as well, but I think these eight are what I'm looking at, and I'm seeing where there's a lot of growth, a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities for current B2B writers, but also brand new writers coming in, right? A lot of opportunities here for you. So I can stop for some questions that we can maybe talk about fees and getting clients.
Yes, for sure. Do you already have fees and getting clients built in, or do you want me to hold those questions till the end since you might answer them here? I have
Oh, it's just a couple more slides. I can go through the now and then we
Well, let
can
me just
stop.
ask you this one. Ashley's asking, so from an opportunity standpoint, we talk a lot about content site audits. So auditing someone's current website to see what opportunities might be there. And she wanted to know about report opportunities. So report opportunities, Ashley, yes, 100%. Lots of opportunities for writing reports. But is there an opportunity here for auditing what they're already doing, whether it's on their website or these other things that they already have in place that you might be able to improve?
Yeah, that's a consulting thing, really,
Okay.
and it's something I've thought about for a long time, and I've decided not to do that. So I just prefer to stick to my knitting. I like writing, so I just prefer to
Did you say
write,
stick to your knitting?
stick to my knitting. Yeah, isn't that an expression anymore? Am I aging
I
myself?
don't know. I've never heard, I always learn new things from my Canadian friends and my South African
Well,
friend right behind the
oh, is
screen.
that it? Well, yeah, it might be an old expression. Back in the 1930s, when I was a teenager, they used to
Uh,
say, "Stick to your knitting." Uh, but stick to what I like doing,
okay.
and I'm doing so well with what I like doing. I could probably move into consulting, do site audits and content audits and things like that, and deliver a report on how they can improve it and that. And so often I do that casually as part of working with a client. I often do that, but not formally. But I suspect there's some good opportunities there if you want to do it.
So Janine, hopefully that answers your question as well about auditing. So I think what I love about this is that you really get to what you just said, stick to your knitting and do what you like to do, which they are validating that that is still an expression. So you are
Is
in.
it? Oh,
Yes,
good.
you're good. You're good. But I love this idea of like, I want to write case studies. I want to talk to people who are enjoying this and interview and interface with them. Or I've always loved the idea of sales enablement because it's like, give me what I need, sales director, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to go in the back office and I'm going to write all my stuff and I'm going to hand it over to you. I love this idea of video. I'd never ever thought of video that way before, but how cool is that? Social media, love it, hate it, whichever side you're on, you can lean in that direction. And there's just so much here. And I don't think that's something we talk about in B2B is the variety. It really is a you can make your own kind of business structure of what you want to write and how you want to show up for clients. So
Yeah,
I,
if you like variety, and I like variety,
yeah,
this is it. But you can also specialize, do a project specialist. You can specialize in just technical copywriting or just ebooks and white papers, like Gordon Graham did famously for many years. You can specialize in sales enablement. Absolutely. You can
yeah.
specialize in social media. You can specialize in any of these things, right?
It's pretty awesome, guys. All this flexibility and just options. So let's go through what you have for getting clients and pricing, and then I do have some questions, and that way we can see if you were already going to answer it. We'll close out with
Oh,
that topic.
sure, sure. Fees. We talked about an ebook or a white paper. That's a long form, 10 to 15 page thing. When I talk to B2B marketing directors, I've never met one yet who wanted to hire a $500 white paper writer. They want to hire a $5,000 white paper writer. They have the budgets and they want professional work and they know they want to pay professional ranges. That doesn't mean that there aren't B2B companies out there that are cheap and just want to spend peanuts on a copywriter. Of course, that's in every industry, but that's not the norm in B2B. The norm in B2B is B2B marketing directors paying professional rates to B2B writers in the same way they pay consultants professional rates, right? So the rates tend to be very good. I'm going to show you some fee ranges here that you can look at. Fees are all over the map. This is just my own experience, and what typically the average copywriter charges for typical types of projects. You see case studies and success stories. That's usually an 800 to 1,000 word article, a story that you've written. Remember, you got to interview the customer, 1,250 to 2,250, with the average being around 1,500. 1,500 seems to be the number everybody says yes to. You can probably get a bit more, but that seems to be it. So, and you can knock off one of those in less than a week, in a couple of days. Just have to do the interview and write the story, right? Social media posts you see here, emails. B2B companies produce a lot of emails. So you're never hired to write one email, usually hired to write 26 in the whole sequence. Landing pages, ebooks, and white papers, the long form content can pay really well. And they're fun projects because you often get several weeks to do them and you can kind of relax and pace yourself. And they can pay $3,500 to $7,000, right? Video scripts, brochures, sell sheets. When I say sell sheet, I mean a 8.5 by 11 sheet printed both sides that doesn't fold. That's a sell sheet brochure. Very popular in B2B. And you 575, $750 per page, pretty much the norm. $1,000 for a sell sheet is pretty much the norm. That seems to be the number everybody says yes to, that number. And then sales enablement stuff like email templates for the sales team. You can really do well there. That number fluctuates because it's kind of a new thing in B2B, the new type of project for B2B writers. And it hasn't settled on a number yet, but it's always high. You're really good at getting, you can get a good fee for that. And other types of sales enablement content, proposal templates, talk tracks, sales scripts, which you may not know a lot about yet, but you can learn and they're fun to write and you can do well with those. So that's not a complete list. And I find that the AWAI's guide, Rebecca, that you guys research and produce every year, I find that is the most handy guide there is, and you give it away for free. So I'll put the link up there. I find that a really handy guide. I look at the different fees in that guide every year, and I think I look at those and say, yeah, that looks realistic to me. That looks about right to me with the type of projects that I handle. So I recommend you get the guide. That can help you price projects. There's a bit more to pricing projects than just knowing a fee range, but that can certainly help you take some of the mystery out of it for you, that guide. Now, one question I get a lot, I'm just going to anticipate this and then get into how to get B2B clients is, what about AI? Yeah, B2B companies are using AI. I think there's a couple of things that I could recommend to you. This is a much bigger topic than I have time for, but be transparent in how you use AI. Clients are happy to discuss AI with you. They're happy to discuss how you use AI. They don't consider your use of AI to be cheating in any way. They just want transparency. They want to know how you use AI. How do you use AI to create a sell sheet? Do you use AI to assist your writing? If so, how? Sometimes well, most cases, they actually like that you use AI, that you're up to date, that you got the best tools to produce the results focused content that they need, right? But they want to know how you use it. So make sure you can answer that question. I actually have an AI policy. I actually have it written down how I use AI. And when clients ask me, how do you use AI? I said, I'll send you my AI policy. There you go. And it explains, bullet points exactly how I use AI and why I use AI. And I also reassure them by saying, no matter what, you get, human written, copyrightable, differentiating from your competition content from me, no matter how I use AI. So I explain that to them, right? So, that's the approach you should take. They're not, be transparent, be flexible. There might be some ways that they don't want you to use AI. Um, then be flexible. Say, absolutely fine, but have that conversation with them. That clears everything up right from the very beginning, I find, with AI. How to get clients? Again, AWAI has a lot of great resources for you on how to do that. Here's a couple of tips that I'll give you. First of all, LinkedIn. Every potential B2B client that you could work with is on LinkedIn, and most of them are active on LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn's a very busy, loud, noisy place. It's like walking into a business conference and you're shoulder to shoulder, but it's still the best opportunities to connect with potential clients. There's a lot of LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn selling strategies that you can learn. AWAI talks about them all the time. But get on LinkedIn, start networking on LinkedIn. I still consider LinkedIn a networking platform for me. I look at it to meet potential clients and meet potential contacts rather. So get on LinkedIn. Also, B2B marketing agencies. There's a lot of content marketing agencies, advertising agencies that specialize in B2B. And you might think an advertising agency or marketing agency, they have writers on staff, and they do, but they often outsource a lot of it to freelancers. That can be a great source for you as well. Associations are a great way to meet clients. I've networked a lot with the National Sales Association, and in Canada here, the Canadian Professional Sales Association, those two, because they do a lot of sales enablement copywriting. And yeah, it's great opportunity to meet potential clients. Think of an association as like a mini LinkedIn, a lot less crowded, right? Opportunity to meet a lot of potential clients. They often have a lot of online activities, so you don't necessarily have to go to a conference and pay for it. A lot of stuff online. But the one big tip I'll give you that is going to help you more than anything else, no matter what technique you use, no matter what approach you use, is that make prospecting a weekly habit, like going to the gym. You go to the gym to stay fit, you do your prospecting and marketing every week, good times and bad times, every week. And when you do it every week, you're reaching out to potential clients, you're introducing yourself, you're letting them know how you can help them, you're connecting with people you've talked to in the past, you're doing all that prospect. Do it every week like you're going to the gym, make a habit out of it. And I tell you, that's the best favor you'll ever do for yourself in building a successful copywriting business. Okay, so that's what I have to say about getting clients. Do you have anything to add,
No,
Rebecca?
just I love that idea because when I'm feeling great, I don't stop going to the gym. I keep going to the gym because
Yeah, yeah,
that's where the
that's
gains
it.
are made and how I make sure that I don't have those periods of blah because I'm still going even when it's great. And I remember Bob Bly saying that too. It's highs and lows. It's for the professional, school's never out. Like you're still learning, you're still marketing every single week. And honestly, it gives you choices, right? You get new opportunities. It's not even just to protect yourself, it's to keep it fresh and keep it interesting and have new opportunities that you might not have known
Well, that's
about
it. That's
otherwise.
it. I do a lot of prospect. I do a lot of networking at associations steadily. Like I
Yeah.
go to I go to my prospecting gym every week, and a lot of people ask me why, because I have more work than I can handle. It's because I want choices. That's it. I want choices. I want to be able to say no to a potential client because it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
And say yes to another opportunity because it is a good fit. I want to be able to have choices.
I love that so much. So we have a couple of other questions around getting clients and pricing. The biggest one I want you to answer first is from Cheryl Murray, and this is something that we've talked about a long time, specifically about pricing. She doesn't
Mhm.
want to get paid by the hour or get stuck in a paid for the hour, and Cheryl actually has success in the writing world. But so how do you navigate that with clients and going for a project fee rather than an hourly rate?
It's very rare in B2B for a marketing director to ask what your hourly rate is or to insist that they pay you an hourly rate, unless you're going to hire you as an employee or something. Um, the convention in B2B among B2B marketers is to pay project fees. So that helps right away, is that is the convention, that is the norm. And so I would always quote by the project, not by the hour. You're probably aware of the advantages, disadvantages to both, the many disadvantages of quoting by the hour. You wouldn't have asked that question. You want to get out of it. Rest assured, mostly project fees in B2B.
I love that when we know the reason behind the question, like the question you
Well,
want to ask, or the reason you're asking that. I think that
there's a friend of mine many years ago, a B2B copywriter said, when you charge by the hour, you get paid less the faster and better you get.
exactly. Yes. I remember that actually with Casey Hibbard when I first started. She's one of our friends who specialized just in case studies. And she was the same. She would say, why would you charge by the hour? Because if you train with me, the more you do, the faster you're going to get. It would be like you taking a pay cut because you can turn them out
You
even
got better and
faster.
faster, yeah. I'm being paid
Exactly.
less.
Exactly. Okay, so this is a newbie question. Let's
Yeah,
see. Joe, we answered yours. What are the best sites for finding opportunities? Sites similar to Upwork. Steve did cover that. And one of you is asking about associations. You'll just want to do research. I mean, ChatGPT is a great tool for finding associations. And once you find
yeah.
one association, you can say, give me more associations like this association and it will actually spit them out. Do you have any other insights on finding associations and trade shows?
No, use AI. AI is
Yeah.
great for that. I mean, years and years ago, I used to go to the library and borrow the big business directory of associations and flip through
Encyclopedia of Associations. I
Encyclopedia
had
of
it on a
Associations.
CD-ROM.
And I'll tell you, there are associations for the most narrow niche markets in B2B. They have an association attached to them. There's hundreds and hundreds of them out there. So you'll find them, and associations are just a great way to find ways to connect with your potential clients.
Love that. All right. So, question from Teresa. So, total newbie, how do you make an approach to write for these companies? How do you have any recommendations for getting started with this?
Well, get a couple of writing samples together, B2B writing samples. They don't have to be real samples from real clients. They can be samples that you created for practice, just for your portfolio to demonstrate how you can write an email, how you can write a case study, how you can write a LinkedIn ad. Have those ready, and then what I would get right into prospecting and networking. I would reach out by email to a potential client that you suspect you'd be a good fit for, a company you suspect you could really help out, and in a friendly way, not a pitchy way, a friendly way, introduce who you are and what you do, and position yourself as a resource. In fact, I would use that word when I send out an email, a prospected email. I'd say, this is what I do. And if I can be a resource for you when you're trying to accomplish this, you're trying to maximize response for your email campaigns. If I can be a resource for you, I'm here, I'm available. Just a friendly email. I would start there and do that stuff and start networking on LinkedIn as well.
Excellent. Annual income potential for an active seasoned B2B writer. Whenever I would ask Nick Usborne, our good friend Nick, a question like this, he would always say, that's like asking me how long is a piece of string? But like, what is kind of a range for B2B copywriters? And I guess at what work level? Maybe you could talk about if you were spare time versus like full career, year one, year two, what that, just
Sure,
to paint that
sure.
picture.
Yeah, and first of all, like what I'm about to say, please don't construe it as a guarantee or a promise of
Right.
income. I'm just going to tell you what I know a lot of B2B writers and B2B copywriters. I'm just going to tell you what I see. And if you're a full-time B2B writer with 4 or 5 regular clients, which is, by the way, pretty much all you need to fill your schedule. You don't need a lot of clients, and you're working full-time at this, then certainly you are making over $125,000 a year and probably around 150, 175. It'd be difficult to make less than that if you have a full slate of clients. And you can make upwards close to $200,000. Can you make $500,000? Probably not. No, but you can make 150 to $200,000. And keep in mind you're working from home, flexible schedule. If you are we're doing this part-time. Let's say you have a couple of good clients and you're maybe a couple of days a week or a few evenings a week. I mean, I've seen some copywriters making over $50,000 in those situations. Okay. How long does it take to make that much money? It's hard. That's where the ball of string comes in. But if you apply yourself and lean in and start connecting with clients and do your prospecting every week and become good at what you do, I mean, the road to getting there can be pretty quick.
Especially if they train with you. I always say like I've never met I don't want to get competitive with other experts, but I have to say you have to have the number one spot for most success stories to come from your mentorship. And I don't even want to like get it competitive because I know some of our experts are competitive, our faculty members are competitive with their classes and results, but it's just uncanny how many people I talk to who go through or what I find, I should say it the other way. When I interview a success story, I come to find out they learned it from you. So
Well,
I've,
it's nice. Wow, I'm
it's
blushing here.
well, just so many I mean, so many success stories that we both know. It's just amazing at what you are capable not only of doing successfully in the world. You're the AWI unicorn. We always talk about this. Our experts here, if you're new to AWI, they're not just teachers who are teaching you what to do. They're actual working professionals who are very successful in their own right, and they happen to be great teachers. And Steve is one of the best teachers I've ever had the pleasure of working with, from learning from. If you have the opportunity to learn from him, by all means, take it. From as far as not only learning and doing something well, he always teaches. I say it's kind of hard to talk about you in the third person and like, but you always.
Go ahead.
Uh, what I love about what you bring to all of your classes is that you're bringing your working stuff in. So it's not just theory, it's like, this is how I do it. Here's my template. Here's my structure. Here's my methodology. Here's my AI policy. Like you're so generous with giving that experience to your students. And it's not surprising to me how they're able to move so quickly and learn and make sure that they're really learning with confidence, that they're doing this thing. Again, it's not theoretical, it's actual application. If you do work with Steve, you also not only does it show you how to do all of these projects, but you're building a portfolio along the way, professional samples that you get reviewed and you actually gain confidence in your ability, which I think is really what holds most of us back as writers or newbies in any aspect of life. We want to go after something, but do we know enough? Are we going to look stupid? Are we going to fall on our face? Which is the other thing that you said at the beginning, which I always write down every time we meet. One of the first things you ever told me was, because I said, people always have these questions like, what if they make a mistake? It's what's holding them back. And you said, listen, Rebecca, there are so many clients. You could mess up your first 10 and you're going to be just fine. There's no blacklist or list of, mistakes,
No, no.
operators
It's
or
just too
anything.
big of B2B is too big of a world. Yeah.
It's so good. We do have a mentorship coming up with Steve, which I'll put a link in the chat, but I have a few more questions.
Yeah.
John's asking, who is the contact? So, who is your point of contact in a B2B company for the writing side?
Usually you aim at the most senior marketing director. Sometimes that can have a title of marketing VP, marketing director, director of marketing, that kind of, usually marketing in the job title.
All right. And then I don't, it's a bunch of letters here, but this person is a newbie and want most of her experience is in healthcare, especially women's health. Can you just give us an example of, okay, that's my background. How do I fit into the B2B space?
Yeah, and I realize you may think of yourself as a newbie, but the one good thing about B2B is because of your experience in healthcare, they don't consider you a newbie anymore because a big part of B2B is, if you're going to write for healthcare companies, half of that is the knowledge that you've accumulated that's very valuable to B2B marketers, right? So, you're not really a newbie. You can go in with a sense of being a bit of a senior because you have that knowledge. If you're going to focus on healthcare, if you're going to focus on a different niche, maybe it's a different story. But and I forgot the question after I said that, Rebecca. What the?
Just focusing in. So that is my background. And I love that you did bring that up because I do have experience. I might not be experienced in B2B copywriting, but I'm experienced in women's healthcare. And so I'm bringing that
Yeah.
expertise, which is one of the best ways to get started in B2B is to leverage your professional experience. But can you give an example, if that is me, like what kinds of companies might I write for in leveraging my women's healthcare experience?
Oh, in the healthcare space, it's huge. Medical device companies, medical equipment and instrumentation manufacturers, um, consulting companies, companies that sell. Like I worked with a copywriter once who her first gig was was a company that made examination tables for veterinarian clinics. Now, I didn't think that was a particularly technical thing, but it's an examination table actually is a very technical piece of equipment. So I mean, manufacturers of equipment like that. There's also pharma copywriting. That's a bit more very specialized, very high paying. But if you have experience with narcotics and drugs and narcotics dispensing, then that could be it. One of my, I think my very first client ever in the 1990s was a company that created computerized narcotic dispensing cabinetry, which is very technical. So manufacturers of equipment like that, they see you coming with your background and experience in medical and healthcare. I mean, they're going to be interested in talking to you.
So I just get so excited. You would think like B2B is again, B to boring. And like when I first started in this whole world, I was always into like, personal development and health and finance. And then I met you and I was like, oh, this is where I want to be. And every time I leave a webinar with you, I'm like, this is where I want to be. If I'm going to reinvent Rebecca Matter, she's going to be in the B2B space because there's so much variety, so much here, and just so much growth. And it's the fact that at the beginning, 69% of marketers said they were going to increase their budgets in 2026. That is in the face of everything we're being told and seeing and, feeling in this world that everything is shrinking. But the reality, that isn't the reality for a lot of companies. And those are the companies you're going to be working for.
Yeah, B2B has always been a very steady kind of thing. May not be the most writing for supplements or personal health and things like that. It sounds exciting and they're good niches, but B2B has always been this steady niche specialty for as long as I've been in it.
Love that.
Reliable.
And here's one more. So now Joni's saying, I have a background in adult education. Are there niches that this would apply to? I know this is something that you've talked about before. So educational
Training and
background.
development,
Yes.
huge. The training development industry have a big conference coming up in just a couple of weeks. There's all kinds of training companies, executive coaching companies throughout the United States, consultant trainers. Training technology is huge right now. And, because of your background, you know the landscape. You're on familiar ground. You may not know everything about everything, but you know the landscape. You can speak to marketing directors with a sense of comfort. And when marketing directors in the training industry get a sense that you kind of know them, you're kind of part of the club, they're going to want to talk to you. They'll have a comfort level in hiring you.
All right. So this one has to do with degrees. So a lot of times we see job ads or things where it says they want a bachelor's or a master's or in some cases even a PhD. How do you get around that if you don't have a degree or only have like a, say an associate's or a degree that's lower than what they're advertising for.
Yeah, well, you're not going to answer advertisements unless you are looking for looking for employment, right? This is the best opportunity here is a freelance opportunity where you go out and introduce yourself to potential clients and they buy your services. You are a business, right? So you're not going to be answering ads so much. But I have an MBA. In my 25 years, I've never had a client ask me what my educational credentials were. I
So
wish they
funny.
did
I
because
know. I
I
spent all
spent a
that
lot of
money
money
on
getting,
mine.
you know,
All that money.
but they don't. And I don't have, my educational credentials next to my name or anything. It's not there. Um, they don't care. Not really. They just want you to do great work. That's what they care about. Can you do great work for us?
Yeah, agree. And so, C. Marie, you're saying she's got a great in with an agricultural company where she's stuck because they have a website, but she's not sure how to advise them on how to post their newsletter, which she plans to write on their website. Sort of like mechanics is where I'm stuck and which email platform to use. They're high end, but new sort is where they are in terms of marketing. It's very rare that, right, Steve, that you're going to do any tech work at all. Whoever is housing their website, whoever put it up, the tech people are the tech people. Good luck. Even if you try to do the tech at AWI, our tech people would not allow it. They just want the words.
No, you don't get involved in that. They want great ideas, great advice, great writing. That's what they want from you.
And if you do come across a small company, a startup, or someone who doesn't have a tech person, just go to our LinkedIn groups and ask, like, who do you all use? Do you have a recommendation? You never want to spend too much time operating outside of your wheelhouse. I'm not going to do, could I do graphic design? Maybe. Will I? No, because I know people who are great graphic designers. I know people who are great technical people. And if you don't know, if a company that you works for needs a skill set that you don't have, be the conduit, be the connector, be the person who introduces them rather than trying to learn that job too. We do what we do well. We bring the words, and we want to stay in that lane because that's where we have speed, that's where we have depth, and where we can make money faster simply because we're focusing on what we do very well. Let the tech people do the tech stuff. So this one is about a sample CV. So do you ever send a resume to anyone, or is it more about, how you're
Well, I don't have a
communicating
resume,
samples?
so
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to send one if because I don't have one, and I won't make one because I'm my own business. I'm very strict with that. But clients don't ask for a resume. Sometimes they do because they don't know what else to ask for. They'll
Yeah.
say, "Well, can you send us a resume?" And you could say, "Well, would it be helpful if I gave you a link to my website, which explains a lot about me, plus send you a couple of samples of my work?" Yes, please. They just want to know if you're the right person to hire, right? For the job. So you don't need a resume. You do need writing samples, and but they don't necessarily have to be from real clients yet. You can, like I said earlier, you can create writing samples, or if you're going to work with me, I'm going to be if I'm going to be your copywriting teacher and mentor, then you will work with me creating portfolio samples.
And that's important to note. I think a lot of you think, newer people think that samples are experience working with a client, but samples are just samples. Can you write a case study? If you're saying you can write a white paper, show me that you can write a white paper. And if you go through Steve's training, you're going to walk away with a portfolio of samples. So there's no need to create anything else. But if you don't, if you're taking one of our programs, just take the assignment and use it as a sample. The other thing that you noted, which I thought was just an important thing to put a emphasis on, is you're a professional service provider. You're not looking for a job. So your accountant, you wouldn't ask an accountant for their resume, right? Like you wouldn't ask your chiropractor for a resume. You just want confidence that they can do the job. So there is a little bit of a mindset shift that we have to make as professional writers. We're business, we're professional service providers, no different than anybody else in the industry providing a professional service. So it takes a little bit of clicking in the brain to get us there, but we're so used to doing it this way, applying for a job with a resume. The only time I ever see a resume request, Steve, is if it's HR has been told, I want to hire somebody, and they're like, great, what's the degree? What kind of resume? And then they fill out these forms and they post these job ads, but that's not what we're talking about here. We are
Right.
contractors, freelancers looking for opportunities to find the right fit. So John's saying, what would you define as a good fit? Is it a personal thing based on experience? Like, what would be a good fit for somebody, or vice versa, with the company and then you as the writer?
Yeah, very personal preference. When I started in this business 25 plus years ago, I didn't think too much of fit. My strategy was to say yes to anything. Say yes, because I needed clients and cash. So I mean, if a client's check was good, yeah, I'll write that for you.
Good.
But then I got a little more picky as I learned the type of clients that I preferred to write for, type of projects I preferred to work on, things like that. So I became a little more choosy, and that was just personal taste, really. You definitely want a client that's going to not have trouble paying your fees.
Yes.
So if you quote, $2,000 for something, they say, no, can you do it for $50? Then you maybe think that's probably the wrong kind of client to build my business on, you know. Um, but besides that, it's really a personal thing for you. And you'll figure it out as you go along.
Yes, this is being recorded for those of you who are asking. I'll send you an email later today as soon as it's ready. If you're Circle of Success, if you're not Circle of Success, it will be posted somewhere, probably in the Writer's Life tomorrow, definitely on the page that you got the instructions for today. If you just go back to that email and you click on that link, it'll take you back to the recording as soon as it's available. Krista's saying she took your mentorship, Steve, and she said he walks you through in detail the entire step-by-step process. We had 3 assignments with personalized feedback from Steve. That alone was worth the course. Steve is an awesome instructor. Thanks, Steve. And Krista is now
Oh,
a
thank
successful
you, Chris.
copywriter.
Appreciate it.
Put her on the track record list of people that see, talk to Krista, learn from you. I'm just
Thanks,
saying.
Krista.
Okay, so this one is about a newbie in relationship to writing and just understanding the various aspects. Are you involved in any of the graphics and things, or is it just the words?
I'm not a graphic designer, but sometimes of projects you have to recommend a particular image because it goes with, like, I'll give you example, LinkedIn ads, LinkedIn sponsored posts. There's always an image there. So often as the writer, you'll suggest an image. You'll say, have an image that shows this, you'll
Yeah.
describe it with words, right? And then the client's graphic designer will create it, or they'll use AI to create it, or however they create it. But you're making the recommendation, right? So sometimes that happens with blog posts, with newsletters, sometimes with LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, almost all the time. But that's as far as it goes.
Agree. Even writers who are using AI to submit graphics, our team won't use the graphics anyways. The graphic designers want to do the graphics. So, but they do like that. You can ask ChatGPT to say, give me a box with a red X over it or something and then you can put it in your copy, and then the designer knows this is what you're looking for, and then they will go and source a copyright-free image or design a similar type of image that they want to use. So never required to submit images, but I love that. See, when you do, if you have a visual in your mind, or even like pointing, right, to say like this video, like this social media page, like this website, this is what I'm envisioning for you all with your copy. All right, I'm going to do a final call for questions. I think we've answered everything. Going once, going twice. Everybody's saying thank you so much, which we really appreciate. Steve, thank you so much. Oh, look, we have the writing apprenticeship with Steve. It's going to start on January 21st at 1 Eastern Time. All the information is there at AWAI.com/B2B demand. If you have the opportunity to train with Steve, I can't think of a better way to get into this world. And honestly, timing wise, not only did you see that marketers are planning to spend more money this year, but guys, it's the beginning of the year. And wouldn't it be so great that at the end of the first quarter, you'd be up and running as a professional B2B copywriter? So I hope you learn more about that, Steve. Thank you so much for being here today. And as
My
always,
pleasure.
over delivering on information and answering all of our questions. Is there anything else you would like to say before we close?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, if you learn more about the program, you think it might be for you. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. You'll find me on the internet. You'll find my email address pretty easily, and ask me any questions you like.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for being here today. Again, thank you, Steve. And we will
My
see you
pleasure.
guys at our next training. Bye, y'all.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.